So we're here at UX Salon 2016 with Adrian from Switzerland and Mike from the United States. And we had a very interesting salon talk just about future technologies and how to approach user experience as a designer in the future, so-called. And I just wanted to ask, if I'm a student for user experience, if I'm a design student right now, let's say I'm in my second year, would you have any if you could go back in time and tell yourself your current advice, maybe what would it be? If you want to go first.
If I could go back in time, is this a kill Hitler scenario?
What? Do you want to? Oh. You could kill Hitler, honestly. It wouldn't hurt anybody, obviously. So.
No, I mean, if we're talking about going back in time, we should talk about that as the first thing on the list. Before,
If you already have that superpower.
Right. I mean, you got a time machine.
Fair point.
I'm going to use it on something big. How many times do I get to use the time machine?
I'd say use it once to go back to your youth. Until you're...
But you're not supposed to run into yourself when you go back in time.
That's also true. That's a really
There's
good
a
point.
paradox in time. It's a time continuum paradox, and the whole world can collapse.
Here's what we're going to do. You travel 20 years ahead and then go back to right now and tell the students right now what you think about user experience approach.
All right, so I think... So what bothered me in there is that we were talking about future technology without any regards to ethics whatsoever. And I think user experience designers, especially right now, with what we do, I mean, it used to be that we made websites, man. We made websites, and websites sold books, and then websites sold pants. And nobody's going to get killed buying a book online. But now the shit that we do, it's going into cars, it's going into people's bodies, it's going into like it's all over the place. It's becoming part of us. I mean, we talk about like wearable technology and shit like that. We just had a guy show up as a robot. And the stuff that we do now is so pervasive and like just social media, and it's so pervasive in our lives, and it's so dangerous if we don't think about the repercussions and if we don't think through all of the scenarios that, I mean, we're looking at a time when people can get seriously hurt. And do you have a license to be a UX designer?
No, I don't have a license to be a UX designer. I actually don't know what gives you the right to be a UX designer.
Yeah, I don't have a license to be a UX designer, and I get to create all of this stuff that's being put out there and can hurt people. Would you let a doctor practice on you without a license?
That's a really good point.
I think the biggest problem facing our community today is a lack of diversity in who's solving problems.
People themselves?
Yeah, and the people themselves. You've got, I mean, especially in Silicon Valley, you've got white boys solving problems that white boys want solved. And that's not what the world looks like. And they're solving problems that are important to them, but the problems that are important to the rest of the world are going unsolved because we've kept those people from places where they can actually solve those problems themselves.
A friend of mine is actually creating a community in Switzerland where they try to get more women in tech. And one of the things she said is that one of the main problems if we don't have enough women in tech is that basically guys are creating products for guys.
Oh yes.
And it's a huge problem. But so generally speaking, when you work with, like, when you hire new people or when you work with people, you generally try to find people who are similar to you, right? It's a very natural process. You pick people that are similar to you, but this is so dangerous because a good design process is about friction. It's about discussions. It's about like finding the differences in how humans behave and then come up with a solution that includes everyone in the process. And I think that's like one of the things I think is very important, that we get more diversity in tech. Yeah.
One of the things that was talked about this morning was how this new future world was going to result in the end of anonymity and how great that was. And one of the clients that I've been working with lately is Wikipedia. And on a project that we were doing with them, we had a photo of a Wikipedia gathering where like a bunch of their editors got together. They do that every year. There's hundreds of them at this gathering. And one of the things that we had to do was we had to blur out a bunch of faces in the crowd. And I said to them, why do we have to blur out these faces in the crowd? Because if their home countries find out that they were at this event, they will be jailed. So when we say things like, isn't it great that anonymity's, that we're going to get rid of anonymity, we have to think about people who are in situations that are very different from our own. People whose ability to voice an opinion relies on nobody knowing who they are and where they are, because it could get them jailed or killed. We have to remember that the world is very different for other people than it is for us. And we don't have to design the world for them. We have to help them design the world. And we've done a very bad job of that.